Great. Go through the process. This is giving you but this is giving us one word for it. I mean, typically, like right now, I'm gonna run down and check it. Typically, we don't have a problem when we don't have. So
there were townspeople here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And again,
I didn't feel like there was probably that many of them that had signed into the town bylaws.
we'll never know. I mean, you know, that's. Won't know that. I'm gonna run this one down and check and make sure the Wi-Fi is working.
Did you get my
Did. Didn't see it. Seems to go by itself.
I got distraction process unusual. So just easy. I remembered it when I was halfway home. This goes in. No, not today. Stay garage factor. You walk out of the garage and go, what's that going on? Oh, it's fun.
Yes. Apparently when I bought my house, I didn't really, I would have totally never registered that the Jerry's garage and the car parking. So. Questionable. They sold off my house. Well, thank God I used to do, but I'm working for a different company. Yeah, I want to go back at some point. That was this year, actually. So very nice. I'm not too sure about it, but we're figuring it out. Oh, I don't know the exact three miles. I'm not sure. I can count 6 or 7 on the top of my head, but I think I'm some other years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
We missed you on Sunday. Worries? It happens. No, it's all good. It's all good. All right, 7 o'clock. We'll call meeting of the Select Board Tuesday, March 28th to order. First item before we get to the formal agenda, we have a public hearing dealing with the ordinance change, which was discussed at our last meeting. This will be the first public hearing. I will read the ordinance change that is being recommended. We will be adding the following item to our current ordinances for the town landing. Under the list of those ordinances, there is currently 8. This would be number 9. Any watercraft, kayak, canoe, dinghy, etc., left at the landing must have the owner's last name and phone number clearly written on it. Contact the landing overseer for more information at 603-772-5070. As this is a change to ordinances under the town processes, we require 3 public hearings. So we'll open this up for, let me ask, anybody on the select board have any comments, concerns, questions about this? All right, we'll open up for any public comment. No public comment? Great. Then with that, we will close the public hearing, the first public hearing for this town ordinance change. Okay? Next up on the agenda, we have Robin Never and Chris Morency about an issue on Dixon Ave.
Yes.
Sure.
Before we begin, can I have a minute?
Sure.
I have a statement that I would like to read. It is with careful consideration that I will be resigning my position on this board effective immediately. I ran for this seat to serve my community, and unfortunately the conditions the chair has created make it impossible for me to do so. I am a veteran with PTSD, and this environment of intimidation and harassment legitimately triggers that. Add to that the lack of transparency on behalf of the chair and the willingness to unwork in a collaborative manner, and what remains is a wholly untenable situation. Michael, I have been yelled at and disrespected by you for the last time. The lack of civility is disheartening, given the importance of civil engagement to an informed voter. This is not a collaborative board, it is an abusive one I will expose myself to no longer. I will be an example for my children in dignity and self-respect as they see how upsetting these meetings have been for me. I will continue to show them the importance of standing up for what you believe in, especially when it's yourself. I am grateful to the town for giving me this opportunity to serve you. Respectfully.
All right. Thank you. As we still have a quorum, we'll continue with our regular business and the matters on the agenda. I'll go back to Robert and Chris. You want to address the board with the issue?
This is my second time living at 16 Dixon Ave inside of the in-law apartment, which we just found out that it wasn't actually approved by the previous owners. But back in 2013 and 14, I have used the address 16B Dixon Ave without any complications. And for some reason now this year, there is complication with using 16B. And I was just wondering if we can use that address if I put up a second mailbox on the same post as the main mailbox.
Okay. Any other comments?
I don't think I have anything to add. I can answer any questions.
Sure. You guys don't need to stand, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That's not, trust me, I appreciate it, but that's not necessary. Any other comments?
I didn't know that the house the in-law apartment hadn't been approved by the town when I bought the house.
Okay. And what year did you buy the house?
What was it? It was
2013?
Yeah,
2013. Okay. I'll open it up for questions. Do you want to?
No, I've read the file, I've gone back through all the tax records and the assessments, and I've seen that it's transpired when it's represented. I'm not really sure how to proceed with this.
Well, going back through the file, looking at the tax records, for I think since 2014, on the tax records, and I assume on the basically, I have 2014, 2016, 2017. I'm sure this has continued on. It's noted on the tax records that this is a non-legal two-family residence. And while I can appreciate the fact that when you purchased it, it was represented that way, in fact, I show nothing in the record that anyone has gone before the town for a second residence or in-law permit, or before the planning board or zoning board with respect to getting the approvals. I'm not saying that that's not possible.
Right.
I think what would be proper, because what you're asking is this board to basically override a decision that normally would go before planning or zoning to get the formal approvals. I'm reluctant to do that. I think that what would be proper in this instance is not for this board to make a determination at this stage, but to make a request of you to discuss this with planning and zoning, ask them what you need to do to go through the process to make that request, and if it gets approved that way, then I think it becomes very simple.
Okay.
I think that's the proper way to do it, as much as the select board has authority overriding other boards and jumping on their decisions. I'd rather you guys go through the proper process.
You get the paperwork in order.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think there'll be any implications from us until then. Obviously, you bought it on appears somewhat under false pretenses, but assuming you can work through that process, I don't think that'll be a problem. Okay?
Do we just talk to Sue about it?
So I would talk to Sue, and then my guess is she'll direct you as to who on planning or zoning. Very friendly organizations. They'll be actually the chair of the zoning is sitting right here.
There is instructions for requirements in our ordinance, under the building ordinance, I don't know the number, but it defines the accessory dwelling unit. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, accessory dwelling.
Accessory dwelling?
Yep.
You're gonna have to look to see that you can meet that, and then it's a reasonable process.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's my suggestion to you. As I said, I can appreciate you coming before the board. I don't know what you're
I
talking
mean, the way it was represented by the listing agent was that it was approved and it was good to go, which was rather accepted by the listing.
All right.
All right.
That work for you guys?
That-
All right.
that works.
And again, if you have questions, talk to Sue. Certainly, if you run into issues that you have concerns, come back to us. We're more than happy to talk to you about it.
All right, well, thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for coming in. Really appreciate it. You're welcome to stay. The next item on the agenda is discontinuation of a portion of Old Route 85, and this is actually will be a hearing, so we'll enter into a public hearing where we're required to take public comment. This matter is being brought to us through a letter from the Department of Transportation. As many of you know, Route 85, the north end was moved, I don't even remember when. John, what year was it? 2000 timeframe, about 20, 25 years ago. And the old portion of Route 85 was then basically closed, and the property was divided to the two abutters of the road. Unfortunately, at the time, the Department of Transportation did not complete the formal discontinuance process. And now John Hayden is interested in developing his property, and this issue came to light as he was going through that development process. The Department of Transportation investigated this, identified that it hadn't been discontinued, and as part of that process, we need to hold a hearing here in town, and then the town needs to notify the DOT that we have no interest in the old portion of the road. So that's, I think, the background on the matter. Any
It's
questions?
pretty straightforward, and I'm surprised they didn't do it previously when they discontinued the road. They cut the railroad.
Paperwork.
So, with that, again, I don't have any concerns about the town supporting the discontinuance. I will open this up to the general public. A notice has been sent to the abutters. So, any of the abutters who want to begin? John?
I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, Michael, other than it's really just a basic matter of housekeeping. And when DOT notified the landowners in the town back in 2000, 2001 timeframe, whatever it was, for the relocation of Route 85, it was understood at that time that the remainder of the old section was abandoned as noted on the plan sets from DOT, and it was understood after we received a deed for the underlying land that the roadway was discontinued. And none of this came to light until recently, that it in fact was still a Class 2 unmaintained highway by DOT. And the process was needed to be brought forward. What this hearing is tonight and what the letter is from the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation to the town of Newfields to see if the town has interest in keeping the road or not. And so I can see no purpose for the town to keep the road. So ultimately, it's this board's decision. That's really all I have to say about it.
All right.
John, how long have you been battling this with DOT? How many months?
It's been going on for a while. I mean, the Department of Transportation is a difficult entity to migrate through anyway, whether it's permitting or whatever the case may be. I think it took over 13 months just to get the driveway permit squared. This came up last fall.
So you're looking at 6-8 months that you've been doing this?
Probably at least 6 months. It took, a lot of back and forth.
And probably with some serious financial impact.
It's a more of a pain in the ass than it is anything else part of my financial, but yeah, it's just it's like I said, it's a paperwork issue, it's a housekeeping issue. There's, the process is that the DOT either relocates or discontinues roadways in the same manner. So it's the same set of rules. They post notification and they hold hearings and go forward with either moving the road or discontinuing the road, whatever the case may be. And because it should have been a simultaneous function at the time in 2000, which again we all just assumed by notation of the plans and so forth that it had been done. It was really kind of a surprise when it came to light that it had not been done. No one could answer the question why or how or any of that.
Just fell through the cracks.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So here we are going through the process to
Finish the job.
basically.
Anyone else from the public have any comments, questions about the town's interest in? Yes.
I'm trying to understand if this was a gift of some sort from the state to the property owner, or if there was consideration for the property at the time.
I don't know the details of the transaction at the time. Typically, when you see discontinuances like this, the roads revert to the abutters. In this case, they divided the property, as I understand it, and that's the documentation they provided. It was deeded to the two property owners down the middle, with the portions going to those two property owners. So I couldn't tell you more than that. Any other questions? No? All right, I will make a motion that the town indicate that to the Department of Transportation that the land in the abandoned portion of Route 85, the town does not have an interest in maintaining that as a Class 2 highway or as any other public highway or road in order to complete this transaction from 20 years ago.
I'll second it.
Second by Obi, all in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much. I apologize. In the earlier issues, with Jack resigning, I neglected to address one other item which is required after our elections. We need to nominate chairman for the upcoming year, as well as assign planning, conservation, and welfare officer. So with that, we'll deal with the chairman. Any nominations for chairman of the board for the upcoming year?
I'll nominate. Sure.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. With respect to the positions, welfare officer, you interested in maintaining that?
Yes.
Do you want to do conservation as well? I'm more than happy to.
No problem.
And presuming we're going to have to go through a procedure anyway, so these may get divvied up in the near term. Do you want to take conservation as well for now?
Yeah.
And then we can always reassign them once we get a third member.
Yes.
Okay. So Hobie will be the welfare officer and the select board representative to the Conservation Commission. I'll continue on as the select board representative to Planet at this point. And we'll revisit this once we fill out our board completely. All right. Sorry about that. It's not on the agenda, but necessary for the process. All right. Next item on the agenda is Chief Young. You have a message?
I'm not sure if you have this literature in the center of town.
Is this the Tri-State Trek?
Yeah, yesterday we signed up for town. That was one race, which is in June 25th. Looks like it comes out of Newmarket, it just comes down 108 from Main Street, down to Exeter Road through Exeter. Not a traffic issue. It's just, they have an insurance policy. I don't recall them coming through town last year, but obviously it's going to be signed up all the time.
Sure.
It's more informational. The other one, which is June 4th, is an annual event that I remember Arlen from GRBL came here last year. He sent Sue, and I'm not sure the board, but myself back in February, Sunday, June 4th, they come down the rail trail and they cross 87 on the western side of town. They have to abide by any rules of the road, stop. Sometimes we put an officer up there for on duty. About 450 bicyclists, but they all don't come at the same time. Traffic is not stopped at all in 87. We don't require them to have a detail. They have an insurance policy as well. So it's more for informational. I know Arlen came from the board last year. He hasn't done that yet, but TriStat just has to be signed off all the time.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Concerns? No. I have none. I'll make a motion that the town approve the Tri-State Trek race to go through the proposed route as identified by Chief.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. We need to sign this form?
Yes.
I
can fax it back.
No, I'll sign it. I'll sign it when we're done. Don't need to take up that time now. All right, next item on the agenda. A couple of things I want to thank people in town. First of all, Kathy Nelson made an extremely generous donation of the 1892 Atlas of New Hampshire to the town. Any history buffs or people who just want to learn more about Newfields, in 1892 we were actually the town of South Newmarket, but a separate town at the time. But the 1892 Atlas is a wonderful piece of New Hampshire history. And the donation is extremely generous by Kathy, and I just want to make sure that we recognize, her generosity to town. Kathy has always, many of you may know, Kathy runs the bake sales at Election Day for the most part. She's always been somebody who's volunteered time and effort to keep Newfields the wonderful place it is, and I think it's important that we thank people like Kathy as often as we can. The other generous donation, Chuck and Lucy Oliver. There's a wonderful table now out at the entrance to Town Hall, actually made by Chuck Oliver. In addition to that, I encourage anyone to go look. There's a display case in the back room here, both made by Chuck Oliver, donated to the town. They're absolutely beautiful craftsmanship, and we're very lucky to have not only somebody of Chuck's talent here in town, but the fact that they're donating to the town this very valuable pieces, I think, is a testament to their generosity as well. The third item, just for a quick discussion, I will note town offices will be closed on April 12th. There's a tax collector's workshop which will, Sue McKinnon and Keisha will be attending, so town offices will not be open on that day. All right, now the more mundane business. Let's see here. We have an application for residence and industrial or commercial zone assessment. This is a waiver for having a residence in a commercial zone. Do you have that?
Yep.
Abatement application. Any questions about this? This is down on Route 108.
No worries.
Yep. We typically have these on an annual basis. I'll make a motion to approve this application for the residents in the zone. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. Next up, approval of the annual stipends. These are the stipends for employees and volunteers around town, including people like trustees of the trust fund, fire department, cemetery trustees, as well as our election day workers. Any questions about the stipend approvals?
No, review this in detail prior to the vote.
Great. I'll make a motion to approve all the stipends.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you for that. Let's see here. We have a mailbox damage issue. There's a request here from Matt Karai, is that who it is? Yep. Regarding a damaged mailbox, he's forwarded information and photos about the damage. There's a policy in town to provide for $50 stipend for the town damages. Any questions about this is down on Railroad Ave?
No questions.
No, I'm not either. I'll make a motion to approve the stipend for Matt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you.
There should have been two of those.
Is there two there?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize, I just
One
saw that.
It should be separate.
Oh, you're right, yep.
Okay.
Any questions about the second request? Photos included, obviously you got it. I'll make a motion to approve that one as well.
Yeah, I just noticed here that Jamie's notice says his mailbox was within the setback, so it's gonna be interesting. First time, most of these mailboxes are not within the setback.
Yeah, no, his is certainly close to the road.
Also, I think that means that a lot of mailboxes are not within the requirements, and that's why they're getting.
Understood. And again, I think this is more of a recognition that, you know, the plows try to do the least amount of damage, but when they do, it's, you know, we want to take care of the citizens. All in favor? Aye, thank you. We have a town hall rental agreement. This is, wow, Deer Trees. The Deer Trees HOA is requesting to utilize town hall on April 17th from 7 p.m. to approximately 8:30 p.m. 20 or less people, no alcohol. Any questions about doing this?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Go for it. All right. We have a cemetery deed. There's a request for plots for the Martins in town for Locust Grove Cemetery. Any questions about
Nope.
the plots? I have none. All in favor? I'll make a motion to approve the request for the cemetery plots. Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, we have some appointments to make. All right, I'll go through each of these. If there's questions, we can call them out. The following appointments are being requested and recommended. Forrest Hayden for the Conservation Commission. Jeff Feenstra for Planning Board. Tom Connor for Emergency Management Director. Jeff Kuchar for Planning Board. Stephen Yevich for Zoning Board of Adjustment. And Bob Elliott for Zoning Board of Adjustment.
No questions.
No questions? All right. I'll make a recommendation, I'll make a motion to approve the aforementioned appointments.
Second.
Second by Hobie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, before we get into April meeting dates or prior minutes, a few other items. Hold on a second, some minutes. What is this? Oh, Conservation Commission, yep. Let's do the Conservation Commission one, and I'll wait till you're done. So, there's a letter here from Chris Griffith and the Conservation Commission. It has indicated that, as we typically hire a conservation consultant to do monitoring reports, there has been a recommendation to seek a baseline documentation report for the easements. The commission is seeking approval from the board to obtain an updated plan and baseline documentation report. Is there anybody from the Conservation Commission here? No. I'm gonna recommend that we table any decision about this, see if they can attend, get somebody from the Conservation Commission to attend, just so that you have a more formal discussion about the implications of this, costs and everything else. So,
Good with that.
all right, let's table that. It didn't indicate that there's a, pressing need there, so let's table that until the next meeting. Few outstanding items. So, one is, as we have discussed in the past, and we deferred any action on the Hazel property since the fall. We had follow-on discussions with legal counsel, and I think at this point in time, it makes sense for us to move forward with the recommendation of the legal counsel to move forward with the sheriff auction with respect to the Hazel property. Any comments, questions?
My only feeling on that is the property, it's a disaster. I don't see any reason the town will allow to hold the property. The town is not in the business of holding real estate. And who knows what liability would fall upon us for we would take that piece of property. So I think it would be prudent to recover our tax liens and penalties by sheriff's sale on that property.
Yeah. You know, as was noted in an earlier meeting that Jackie had raised about the potential for a safety complex there, I think you had indicated you had looked at the records. The parcel next door is actually not owned by the town, it's actually owned by the school district, which further complicates, I think, the matter of the town holding onto the property, because in and of itself, it is too small a property to ever be able to hold a safety complex. So I think at this point in time, it makes the most sense for us to move forward and instruct legal counsel to move forward with the sheriff's auction. So
I'll make a motion to move forward with the sheriff's auction.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye. I'll inform legal counsel of that tomorrow. Steps out front was an outstanding matter. I think you had discussed with we've had two bids on it, correct?
That is correct. So initially, we had a bid on it that was dated 31 October of last year, and there's two options that came forth on that bid, one for $10,100, and then there was another option on it for $11,250. And the second one, the $11,250, was going to do some sidewalk repair up the top there. I fully support getting the steps repaired, and I find I found that price was a little high.
Mm-hmm.
I went and talked to another proposal with Rye Beach. They came in the same work set for $48.61.70. So, and that's the reason when we had the warrant articles, I voted against that warrant article because I thought single source was inappropriate, and I thought the price was rather egregious. So, it's my feeling. I'm pretty happy with the Rye Beach. I've talked to folks about the quality of their work, and if we stay on them, if there's any issues, they will address them and make sure they're rectified.
Well, having three bids for this, obviously, I concur. I think the Rye Beach bid is comprehensive and certainly comes in at the best price. So I'll make a motion that we accept the Rye Beach bid to repair the steps in front of Town Hall.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Put that in motion. One item I wanted to raise, this came up actually at the zoning meeting, and we've had problems with it before. Currently, the Town of Newfield's Wi-Fi network, which covers this building, is one wireless access point in the town offices. As we noted at the zoning meeting, sometimes the bandwidth is not enough. And so I reached out to our technology provider, and what they can do is actually they don't have to put it underneath the ceiling, but they can put it, actually there's a catwalk above our ceiling here, and they can actually put a device to propagate down here. We don't have to mar our ceiling in the room for, they said something on the order of $200 to $250. probably worthwhile, part of our buildings budget. And I think it certainly would improve bandwidth up here and ensure, the quality of our feed for people who do not attend.
Well, one of the things I'd like to tie into that, because I've heard from numerous folks that the audio is terrible when you're trying to watch it at home. And my thought would be, get somebody to explore it, but I was thinking maybe a hanging microphone in the center coming off the ceiling, so it'll pick up folks, because when you're sitting at home, you can hear the select board pretty clearly, but you can't hear who's speaking in the audience. Concurrent with that, one of the issues that I've heard people ask me about is the scope and the view of the camera is very narrow, and expanding that. I'm more concerned with the audio than I am with the visual, but it would be nice to just get it squared away, because this is going to be here for the duration. We're not going to go back to pre-COVID. So I think it would be prudent to look into solving that whole problem at one time.
Do you wanna take a look at microphone options that we
You want me
can?
to blast some of this up?
Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly talk to them about getting the Wi-Fi, because I think that's easily done without dealing with the microphones. But we had microphones in here before. To be honest, this is not the best room for meetings. Typically, we've done meetings in the smaller room, and audios and acoustics are obviously much better in there, and the visual would be better. We could always go back there if it becomes a real problem. But if you can look at the microphone issue, what are the options, what are the costs, and then I'll certainly address the Wi-Fi issue in the meantime.
I won't take care of that.
Great. Lamprey Regional Cooperative. So the Lamprey Regional Cooperative is where we dispose of our solid waste collected around town on Mondays by Elm. They deliver it to the cooperative facility, which is managed by Waste Management. Recently, Hobie, you've been attending a series of meetings with respect to this. Do you want to discuss what's been going on and what we need to address?
So the bottom line is here that the cost of tipping fees are exponentially climbing. And Waste Management came to the co-op and said, we want to bump up some of our options as far as cost and recovery here. And the co-op went back and said, well, you can raise that card and we'll raise you on this one. We want to extend the contract out and lock in the tipping fees to what, 32, was it?
33.
33.
December 23rd, 33.
So their tipping rate increase is pretty reasonable. It gets a little steep the last 3 or 4 years of this proposal, but it locks Waste Management in as far as this co-op that we belong to. And if we don't engage with Waste Management, we're kind of going to be out on a limb. So it's kind of the devil, and I think it's a prudent course of action, because the only other option for really disposing of all our mainstream solid waste is we go down to Massachusetts and incinerate it down there, or paying individually and trying to arrange a contract with the town per the facility. And when you've got a single horse in the races as opposed to 12 or 16 horses, you just don't have the bargaining power. So I think it would be prudent to move forward with this. Even though I find that the increase in the last couple of years there rather kind of wince a little bit.
Yeah, the increases, our current contract runs out in 2026. And as Hobie indicated, they're interested in raising the fees, but extending that through 2033. As many of you are probably aware, there are not a lot of disposal facilities opening up in this state, and space is becoming a luxury, especially as a lot of out-of-state contracts bring their waste to New Hampshire because we're available.
And because the feds say you have every right to bring it.
Oh yeah, cross-state.
So
We can't.
can't.
New Hampshire can't limit that. We're prohibited under the Commerce Clause. But the fees, the increased fees for 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026 are approximately 3 to 4% of an increase over the currently contracted rates. That 3 to 4% continues until 2029, at which point they're going up about 6% a year through the end of the contract in 2033.
Let me throw a kicker in there.
What's that?
Yeah. So I've been talking to Jim and Elm and keeping track of what our tonnage has been on the pickups on weekly basis. The tonnages have been dropping, and he's tracking this very closely. And his position is, and he's postulating that the amount of recycling MSW that we're going to be putting forth is going to be reduced from what we were putting forth with Waste Management under the previous contract. So he thinks that's going to work in our favor. So even though we're getting a rate increase, we've been able to drop the tonnage. And the reasons for this, he's not willing to say yet, but he's got some postulating on what the causation is on this. But I think there's a little quid pro quo there that'll make it so that we can benefit and not take a big hit with these increases of this price.
Yeah, along those lines, I mean, clearly, our waste management and recycling costs have gone down as we have looked at alternative, and, you know, obviously we brought Helm in here, and it has, in addition to the fact that with the transition, we saw declines in tonnages actually right out of the gate even after we transitioned from Casella to Waste Management, and then again from Waste Management to Helm.
Plus we saved $14,000 over the life of this contract that we just, this 3-year contract that we just signed. You know, so that was right off the bat.
So I mean, overall, we've been basically treading water on our, or even doing a little better on our waste services. I mean, it's understandable that they want to raise their fees. As you noted, the back end is a little steep. But I mean, I think at this point in time, entering into a contract through 2033 will probably at least give the town another decade to basically contemplate its future options with respect to tipping, which is the most difficult aspect of all of this. Any questions from the general public about? Yeah, Chris.
I was watching at home, heard of the morning conservation.
Oh, I'll get back to you in just a minute, Chris. No, great.
Still out of breath.
Give me 1 minute, Chris, we'll get right back to you. Any questions about the cooperative contract and the town's tipping?
Makes sense.
I mean, we're really trying to pinch pennies on this and be very judicious and responsible as far as expending town funds on this. It's one of those evil necessities you have to deal with. Trying to keep it to the minimum impact has been the objective since the get-go.
All right, I'll make a motion that the town approve Amendment 2 of the Waste Management Waste Disposal Agreement as provided, entering into a contract for tipping at their facility in Rochester until December 2033.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. So we'll take care of that. All right. Chris, so, got the letter.
Yeah.
I think I understand what you're basically wanting to do is a more detailed documentation about the easements in town?
Not all the easements, just the Silverstein easement.
Which one?
Area in Silverstein.
Up on, that's on Halls Mill?
Halls Mill, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah, we entered into that easement several years ago, correct?
Yes.
It's not very old.
But for many years, the monitor has said that the survey doesn't
Jive?
match up
Okay.
very well, so it's hard to monitor it. So we would like to resurvey it, but we have to get permission from the Silversteins to do that.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what.
Have you had discussions with the Silversteins about doing it? I mean, they seemed very easy about entering into the easement and everything else. I'd be surprised if.
Yeah, they just need like an official
Yeah.
letter requesting.
Any idea on cost?
Not yet.
Okay.
I figured to get their approval first. And then-
Sure.
And we do, conservation we have some money to.
Oh, okay, great.
So this is, when it was dated, it was surveyed at that time, wasn't it?
It was, but I don't know the technical terms. It wasn't like a due north survey. It wasn't done to the current.
So the survey there's a fault in the survey, there's errors in the survey?
Not errors, but just not done the way that
It wasn't a professional job, let's put it that way.
Desktop survey versus a hard field survey?
Maybe.
There's a crayon somewhere.
Other questions you have?
It seems prudent to get it resurveyed.
No, I agree.
And it's a timely manner.
especially if you're gonna be responsible for the
I
monitoring.
mean, they feel like they've been able to monitor well enough, but it would be, it's more about if we ever contract with any monitor.
Yeah.
Or unintended consequences of failing to have an accurate board.
Right.
Great. I'll make a motion to approve the Conservation Commission seeking an additional survey work for the Silverstein easement.
One more question.
Oh, yeah.
No idea what you think this will cost?
We have.
How big is the acreage?
I do not know off the top of my head.
It's not that large.
15, 20, 40?
No.
65?
It was carved off of their property, right? If I remember correctly?
I think 20 would be, I think 20 is about right.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's not like
I mean, I can look into it.
it's not like this is an 80, 100 acre parcel. I don't think so.
No, it's not that big.
Yeah, no.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Greatly appreciate you coming up here.
Time is everything.
Yes. All right, let's do, if you look at your calendar, we'll do April meeting dates real quick here.
Old school. Paperwork. 11th?
Yeah, I'm looking at 11th and the 25th.
That works.
That works for your schedule? Great, sir. And we'll go for the 11th and 25th. We have minutes for the Tuesday, March 7th meeting. If you want to just take a quick look at that as fast as I can. I know you guys are all excited to watch us read. Anyway, Chief, have you heard about the directed spending grant? Do you know when do you hear about that?
Honestly, probably next year,
Oh,
early next year.
oh, all right then. Then the answer is no. Any changes, edits, comments?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes, select board meeting minutes for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, so obviously we need to address, probably at our next meeting, or the meeting after that, depending upon if there's interest in filling the vacant position for the select board. As we've done this in the past, this is an open meeting of the select board for full discussion before the general public on filling the vacancy. The vacancy would be until the next election, which actually I believe this position expires, so it would be, the election would then be for a full 3-year term, as opposed to when we had Chris and we had the elections to fill a partial term and then a full election. So Anyone in town who has an interest, I would suggest they talk to Sue. Certainly feel free to reach out to Hobie or I. We'll have to have a formal discussion of this in open meeting to fill the position. With that, do you have any other business? Anything else, anybody? Yes, Phyllis.
I would just like to, she's not here, but just thank Jackie for her 2 years of service, and I just appreciate not only her select board service, but also her Navy service as well, and I think it's incredibly sad that the state of affairs is what it is, and that she didn't feel that she could continue being on the select board. And I'm just hoping that both of you look at any role that you think you may have played in that, or hoping, I know I talked to you about, your wife, you calling Jackie making the dunce on social media and you're doing an apology, and I just think that's sad, and I think the select board is a place where everybody should cooperate, and there obviously are differences in opinions, but I would certainly hope civility and kindness and compassion could prevail.
Phyllis, I greatly appreciate it, and honestly, I had no idea. I'm a little surprised. I'm disappointed. As I have said many times, this is not a partisan board. We're always going to have differences of opinions on how to address issues before the town. It is a position like many other positions in this town where you're in the public spotlight, whether it's on this board, planning board, zoning board, any of the commissions. Issues come before you, and there's typically two very different opinions on how to address that, if not more. And I can appreciate her concerns about this position. It is never pleasant to have to deal with people who see things the way they see them, or deal with the way people in the general public have opinions of you. I agree. There's no rationale for name calling. There's no rationale for some of the stuff that we've seen pop up around town, whether it's with respect to any member, I think, on any of these boards. These are volunteer positions. And I certainly discourage, and I don't like anybody doing any of that. Anybody who's been on a board, I'm sure, has received a lot of this. And I don't want to say it comes with a job. It does come with a job. It shouldn't come with a job, and I think we all know that. I don't disagree. I think, it would be nice if we had a better, more civil discourse about issues. And as I said, there are going to be differences of opinions about how to address things. I'd like to think that in most of those discussions, people can come away saying, I don't agree with what happened, but I accept it. I understand it. If you want to change it, there's processes to change things. I'm disappointed. I certainly can sympathize with her concerns about being in the public spotlight and having to address issues in town. And I think it's unfortunate that the environment right now is one where she didn't feel she could continue. It's unfortunate.
I didn't get the sense that it was about the general public. I got the sense that it was about the board.
I understand. I understand. Look, I have tried to keep the issues in front of us on a professional level. This is the business of the town, and I continue to do that. I certainly will. I will try to adhere to the town ordinances, to the state laws, to the federal laws when we do business here. And without a doubt, I'm a direct person. I don't mean anything personally by it, and I hope people in town understand that. But I'm gonna follow the law, and I'm gonna call out people who don't follow the law, whether it's somebody out there or whether it's somebody on this board, and I'll continue to do that. Jackie and I had our differences. Policy differences are fine. Again, I don't have a problem with it. But I'm disappointed that she thinks that, my actions here are intimidating. I've been around this town for 20 some odd years. I get along with, people who agree with me, people who disagree with me, dealing with issues across the board. I try to contribute my time and my effort in this town to make it a better place to live, to improve it for the people here in town, to, do what I can to improve that. And I understand people have differences. I try to run this in as professional a manner as I can, and like I said, I don't take any of this personally. I feel bad that she did. Any other comments? Yeah.
Michael, I just, first off, I appreciate what you hope you do for the town, the commitment you make, and it is volunteer, and respect, and take it support. And I guess my comment would be simple, that you can disagree, but you don't need to disagree. And I think it's important for the board to set an example for the town. I realize nobody controls what the public is, and whatever spins out through the town, that's not reasonably under your control. But I think an example set here probably goes a long way in town. So that would be my brief comment.
No, I understand. And again, I've attempted to run these in a very direct, business-like manner. And I don't, I certainly try to keep in check not only my comments, but even comments from the general public that are not germane, that, are, name-calling and anything else. I mean, I've certainly received my share while sitting up here. I've received it on other boards. I receive it in email, online, and everything else. I think that I have avoided that in my tenure here. Yes, I'm direct, and I'll call things out the way I see them, and if people disagree, I'm perfectly happy to have that conversation. I see this as the job of managing people's business, and I try to do it as such. But I appreciate your comments.
I'd just like to offer, I see this position as a non-political position. My job is to take care of the public safety of this community and maintain the fiscal discipline of the community. I will look anybody in the eye, discuss any question, any policy issue, anything at all, and it doesn't get personal. And I'm not digressing and bringing up dirty law, but I was subjected to a pretty nasty smear campaign during the last election, and I resent it. That said, people didn't have the integrity or the courage to look me in the eye and discuss the matters. And I'm angry about it, but I put it in a box and I put it away. And it's unfortunate that in 2023, in a town the size of 1,800 people, that we're dealing with this, because people will not look each other in the eye and be straight up. I'll give the joy when she sees me taking an academy because she got hot, and I'll stand by her until the cows come home, because there was more information that some people were cognizant of that may not have been put forth. Fully cognizant of that website, that smear campaign, prior to being made public by giving it funds on Facebook. So, again, I will look you in the eye, I'll tell you what my position is, why I think that way, and if we disagree, we disagree. And we'll move ahead from there. It's not personal.
The name calling is sad.
I would totally agree. I mean, I think a national body politic is a train wreck on both sides. You can even argue the state is secret. but in a town of 1,800 people. What I observed in that last week of the election was totally unbecoming of this town. And Hobie, I am in agreement with you. It was totally disgusting to a town of 1,800 people. It should have been a wake, hopefully it's a wake-up call.
And look, I think we can hopefully all agree on that one. I mean, look, Phyllis and I, you and I don't agree on probably much politically. But,
Mosquitoes.
okay, I said much, but here's the thing, Phyllis, I mean, I know I can walk up to you, we can have a conversation, and we can part disagreeing, and the next day, we'll meet at the country store and say hello. That's the way towns should operate. And if you think I'm out of line, if somebody thinks I'm out of line, I'm more than happy to have a conversation about it. As I said, I try to do my best to keep it on I love talking policy. I like solving problems. I have tried very hard to not go to the level of name calling and doing that kind of stuff myself. Okay, I'm not going to justify anybody else's actions, but if it's done, if it's improper, I certainly will call it out if somebody else does it. I have tried not to do that. And again, people may have the impressions of me being intimidating, but honestly, I mean, I am more than happy to sit down with anybody, have a drink, cup of coffee, talk about whatever they want to talk about, and I won't take their impressions of a policy or an issue personally, and I hope they don't take it personally either, because that's not how things get solved. Again, I can appreciate the sentiments here. I think we can all agree it would be nice if we stuck to this as a more nonpartisan type discussions. Keep the name calling out, and if we want to disagree, we can disagree. All right. Any other comments? All right. With that, I'm sorry. Yes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Taylor. I came up about one thing, but I'm glad that came out because I've not been involved in all that. I've just gotten bits and pieces, and it was bothering me that this town was not getting along. What I came up for is that I'm concerned about the crosswalk here. I've been concerned for a couple of years about it and the traffic going through town. And I have just one idea. I know it's the state road, but why can't we have the horizontal bands on both sides of that white sidewalk? Because people do not care to slow down, and even I'm going like this and they just keep whipping through. I mean, it is a very dangerous position, and I think we need to do something about it, and I guess we have to deal with the state.
Yeah.
And the state...
We can certainly ask at the DOT. Sure,
state, well, last year, or the year, whenever the time we finally got the sidewalk, I went to the police chief, and then I went to the people at whatever that area is called, where the DOT people were. And then I had to call Durham, and then I had to call Concord. And this was very, very important to me because I have been a guide for children coming and are leaving school. And there's certain times of the year, especially the fall and winter, nobody coming from this direction can see properly. And I kept my kids, away, but I almost got hit. And this needs to be dealt with.
And again, the town has had numerous discussions with the Department of Transportation about this. My guess is the Department of Transportation would probably want to get rid of the crosswalk in its entirety if they could. We can certainly raise it with District 6. To some extent, though, we play by their rules because it's a state road, as you indicated in your discussion. But we can raise the issue. I'm more than happy to re-raise the issue and see if there's anything that we can do.
I think there might be some alternatives on that we can explore. support also as far as marking and signage.
Well,
to
you
make
have
it-
to make it something that people are just living through town notice.
Yeah.
I mean, I know in the winter maybe it's not easy to have that thing that goes across the, that piece of whatever the police always put out. But it's a very dangerous situation, and I'm surprised we haven't found anyone else killed here. And there was a child killed, as we know here, many, many years ago, and we don't want to repeat it.
Well, thank you.
John can help with the DOT.
No one can help it. Chris?
On that point, do we know when the yield to pedestrian sign is going to go back in?
I do not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I assume it was taken out in winter time with cloud.
I presume it was.
It is a bit.
I can check with the road agent, with Brian. I
I can answer that, but we have them.
Oh.
They're not in very good shape, cars hit them, salt break them down. There are two signs, one usually put the crosswalk by the school, one on Main Street. They're not in very good shape, cars hit them, they were purchased before I got here. I've been in communication with the state regarding some alternatives, just because of the sight line and then the sunset and the sunrise. We know there's an issue at the school. I've almost been hit in front of the school because the sun is setting, obviously, in this direction, cars are coming from Epping. And I see it in the afternoon as well, especially in the fall, when cars are heading toward Exeter on Main Street, toward the country store. I know it's an issue. Basically what DOT said, any options that we do, we would have to pay for as a town. And they're expensive with the options that they presented. But that is something I'm planning on talking to the school board in the fall. I have some ideas because I think there's some safety issues with the stairs. I've had preliminary discussions with the principal, and then Rich Kane, who's the head of security and safety at the SAU 16. That's my plan as we get toward the summer and they start adjusting some bucket stuff. I'm hoping we can deal with some signage in that area, as well as take care of the totality of the issues, which are the stairs as well. I think the stairs, in my opinion, at the school are unsafe, because when you come down, people tearing them right
into traffic,
yeah. You don't see the pedestrians here. So I don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. I'd rather, put my opinion in and try to take care of it, do it right the first time.
Nancy, I've got some ideas also that I'll talk to Wayne about for signage and options that we have to explore that further. But it's not worth anybody getting hurt out there, especially you, the little one.
I mean, I go to the crosswalk across the road to the store.
Yep.
And I have to tell people to stop. I put my hand up, I do everything. And it's not just one way, it's this way as well. And they just don't, they just whiz through our town.
Cell phones, distraction.
Yeah.
How expensive are those signs, like those crosswalk signs that start to blink when somebody's...
Yeah, the solar powered signs, that's the one I'm thinking
Upwards of
about.
$25,000.
That's a heck of a bake sale.
Live faster than that,
Yeah.
so that's money.
So, over the years, I don't know how many times I've tossed this idea out there, but in the village district, 25 miles an hour. Coming out the top of Swampscott Street, that's dangerous in an automobile. Dangerous in the crosswalk, yes, also for pedestrians. I hear, yeah, it's difficult to deal with the State Department of Transportation. An example that I have is when I travel, I think, through 4, going to the state of Maine. As soon as you cross the border, you see a great big 25-mile-an-hour speed limit for the town of Southborough. I think, my experience here in the village area, things are just too dense, and that's that's one of the things that might make this a safer place.
A couple of months ago, I called DOT and I was asking about traffic, and we're running, I think if I can remember correctly,
7,000.
6,000 to 7,000 vehicles per day on 85 heading through town. And the morning rush hour heading to 101, and then in the evening, people using Newfields for the shortcut to avoid going through Stratton and the traffic there. So it's an issue, and I think we can, and they've, because when I talked to Concord about it, they have it very clearly documented, the amount of traffic, which is, if you hit 6,000 to 7,000 cars, there's a lot of cars coming through this town. And it's not like when kids, some of the folks that are in their 40s now are growing up and they can play baseball on the street. It's a totally different reality you have to deal with.
Who was describing a death. The death was 1963. So, yes, it was a different town as far as the density of people. There's probably more kids then than there is now, particularly on Main Street. But it was my younger brother. So, yeah, that will always be in my mind. And so I have to say, when there was a meeting about this with our last chief, Chief Lindenau, I said, Trump, it's not first. Wouldn't be the first.
Well,
So, anyways.
I'd offer the squeaky wheel and get the grease, and I can squeak pretty good.
I like that idea of the 25, and I like the sign that we had, the big sign by, Bradford that said, that you have to come down to 30. But I've seen in other towns, and I'm not sure if it's just New Hampshire or somewhere else, where that central part does have a low, and Exeter has 25.
Yeah, every road you go into Exeter, it goes down
Yes.
to 25.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
Yes. I mean, that's very easy to do. I mean, unless you have to kowtow to the Concord DOT.
You make enough noise.
Yeah.
We can make
And I remember we had a meeting, was it with Nate? I mean, there was a meeting
about
with
6 years
people
ago.
that live on 85. And we just sat here and talked about it. And that's why I always put my foot on to slow down and make anybody behind me slow down. Because this is the law.
And 85 is dangerous from one end to the other. We've almost been hit 2 or 3 times turning into our driveway with people trying to pass us when we're turning left.
I almost got hit the last hill before you hit Exeter with this house that has been sold, a little cape. And someone was coming there, and I slowed down because I know that there's a 35 at people have the what is it called? They have discussions in literature and stuff.
The word bound.
Yes, and then when you go past that, there's a slow down sign and there's a sign of children getting on the school bus. And so I go 35 that way, at least, because this, on that other side coming toward us, it says 35. And it's a dangerous curve. So I think we just need to get some help.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. All right, with that, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting for Tuesday, March 28th.
I'll second that.
In favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
How are you, man?
I've never Yeah.
Somebody